And yo, the Sports Bag Bros podcast is back along with a new microphone. And we're back at it after a weekend of sports. But it's not just any sports. We had a full week of college football and we had the NFL finally showing up. Yes, it showed up on Thursday, but we know it's all about Sunday games. And then now we have Monday Night Football between your Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. J.J. McCarthy getting his first start in his true rookie year because of the injury last season. Right. Now he's starting over as a rookie. What's up?
What's happening? You forgot Friday night. Chiefs went down. Justin Herbert looked good. Yeah, that's why I wanted the Bears to trade their number one pick for Justin Herbert 2 drafts ago. But, of course, that didn't happen. Give me the GM job. I know the Bears would be better. Anyway, crazy games yesterday. That Sunday night game last night was incredible.
Derrick
Henry was balling, and just when you're about to put him in the GOAT conversation, he fumbles the rock.
Bro, exactly, man. No matter how great you are, no matter how much you're doing, something can change the complexion of that game. But it wasn't just a Derrick Henry deal. You're talking about Buffalo coming back at home, scoring 22 points in the fourth quarter. You can't allow that no matter what you are, especially with still the defensive identity that Baltimore has. It's not the Ray Lewis, it's not the Suggs, it's not all of those guys, Saragusa, but these guys still have somewhat of a defensive identity, even though Lamar Jackson kind of changes things because of what he does. It still has somewhat of defense. Not last night. Derrick Henry ran through them like a hot knife through butter from the very beginning. I thought he was going to have another 200-yard game, and it was just when I was saying, you know what, this is probably the season he starts taking a step back because of what he did last season. He's getting old. He got banged up in Tennessee. That's why he came to Baltimore. Damn, this dude picked up, and they're early going for the MVP of the league.
Right. I was watching the game with my son, and if you watch our videos and you're familiar with us, you know he's a Ravens fan.
Big Ravens fan.
And they were talking they got the 2 leaders for the MVP, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And I told my son, I said, they're just going to disregard Derrick Henry? I mean, he had 100-some yards at the half.
Yeah.
And he was well on his way to 200, but he fumbled the rock. And then play calling went awry. When you're trying to run clock and force Buffalo to use their timeouts, I don't think that's the time to call an end around for Zay Flowers.
Yeah, and that's true, too. And then to look at how the score ended just at 1 point. Of course, the highest scoring game yesterday, the highest scoring game for week 1 period. Before that, I believe it was the Jets with their 66 points. Surprise, surprise, another Chicago Bear was in the mix. It was Justin Fields. You know what? The Jets were behind. He was trying to help him out, but for what he's doing, the fact that they scored so many points, I was like, you know what? This might not be such a bad idea after all. You really got to keep an eye on him passing, even though it's erratic. But his running and the Jets running is what done it. But yeah, man, we have the whole litany laid out talking about Derrick Henry and how well he played yesterday, even though he did cost in the game essentially, but 22 points in the last quarter. That cost the freaking game.
But yeah, I don't know if you can blame the loss on Derrick Henry, even though to his credit, he told the team you could put it on him. He didn't give up 40 points.
No, he didn't.
He left the door open, but he didn't give up 40 points. And I mentioned earlier to my son earlier in the game something about Justin Tucker. Oh, when the Chiefs had that fire drill field goal at the end of the half on Friday night, and Butker made a 59-yarder, I said, with Justin Tucker gone, he might be the best kicker in the league. And then he missed an extra point later on. I was like, well, there goes that idea. And so they got the Ravens have their rookie kicker, and his first one I think was a 52-yarder, or I might be thinking of a different guy. But anyway, he was looking good, and then he misses an extra point.
But you know how fickle kickers are. They talk about them every time, how it's just one thing gets in their head, it kind of ruins their career. Once they're on the street, they're on the street. You leave them alone. It's like these pitchers that go after no-hitters. You just leave them alone and just let them play, and then you kind of tell them in the 8th inning, you know what, you might be doing something special. Same thing with the kickers. They're kicking well. They're doing well. As soon as whatever it is kind of knocks them off their game, they just can't get it back, and it seems like a nice stretch of time before they finally get it back. It seems like that's just what it is, being a rookie, being a veteran. None of that means anything. But you know what? As far as best kicker in the league, even though it's still a short season and it's just a short time in the league, I still go with Cam Little here in Jacksonville. That 70-yarder when it didn't matter, but we know he can do it. And it almost went like 73 yards at that. But you're talking about a 59-yarder. That's almost like chip shots for kickers now.
Almost. But you can't call a guy best kicker in the league off a preseason kick. One preseason kick.
But he's consistent as hell so far. I'm saying he has a long way to freaking go. If he's
Butker's been doing it for a few years now.
I was say because in the kickers world, you got to do it for a good 8 years before they start talking about you. See, other positions you can do it for 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons. Damn, this dude might have a Hall of Fame career. If you're a kicker, you got to be consistent as hell for about 8 years before they start mentioning your name. And then they start talking about, man, he may have a great leg after all of these years because kickers last forever. So you have.
Well, I'm not campaigning for Butker to go to the Hall of Fame already, but since the GOAT didn't get signed by any team, somebody has to be the best kicker in the league.
Yeah, and that's true. And so, man, another week opened up for the football right now. You know, Monday Night Football tonight. Just look at the games that were played yesterday. Did you have any surprises? Well, the one surprise I had, I'm not even going to try to wait and try to push it out there. The Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Jones, another one of those players of the year candidates.
Yeah, friend of the program, I Bosco from the Bronx. I saw his post on Facebook, and I was like, Daniel Jones is going off? What the hell? Jones.
Man, you know what? And the ironic part, just last week when we made our picks for the season, you know, MVPs, and we even came up with the first coach fired. I picked Steichen to be the first coach fired. Well, shoot, it might be McDaniels because he was going to be my second guy going down to Miami, and the way they got beaten up there against an Indianapolis team with Daniel Jones. I wonder, does that carry any weight? Do these coaches behind closed doors look at Daniel Jones the way I look at him and the way a lot of other people looked at him? They say the right things in front of the camera. Behind the scenes, yeah, that dude sucks. But nah, not yesterday. Tua was the one who was trash.
So what surprised me was Aaron Rodgers.
Man,
technically he had four touchdown passes, but that little flip to the guy coming across, that's not a pass. They need to change that rule. He shouldn't get credit for a touchdown pass when he basically just tosses it up and the guy runs for 16 yards for the score. He's not throwing the ball. That's not a pass. But anyway, I saw the Jets had the lead, and I was like, well, you know, my prediction is Mike Tomlin. If they lose to the Jets, hey, you never know. But I don't know. They woke up. The Steelers turned it on, and they came back and took over.
The one thing I said after I was watching some of that score and seeing some of the game highlights, I said, because we didn't have it down here, and I'm not getting Sunday ticket ever again, man, whatever. But I said, you know what? I can unequivocally say right now, it wasn't the freaking Jets it wasn't Aaron Rodgers last year. It was the Jets. It had to be. You can't leave out of here and throw 4 touchdowns, even if that one was a fluke. You still have 3 touchdowns. He wasn't doing anything like that. And he was back to his old efficiency that he had in his prime.
And he was trolling the fans.
Oh, was he? He said,
that's what I heard.
At the press conference, he was saying nonsense. I mean, it wasn't nonsense. It was reality. He says, you know what? I'm glad to beat the people in that building because they thought I couldn't play anymore, which is true. I didn't think you could play anymore. But if he did anything at all, he showed 4 touchdowns, something he didn't even try. He tried, but the Jets couldn't do it. So it was the Jets, not Aaron Rodgers, responsible for now the last 2 seasons. Even his injury is still their fault.
So one thing I would like to say about Justin Fields, because I saw he had a pretty good game. He didn't lead a comeback, but that's the thing I said. He'll have some good games, but he's not leading comebacks. But I saw a quote attributed to him saying his experience the last couple of years is good for him, and he's getting reconnected with his with God, and he's getting more spiritual. And I was thinking, I wonder if that's going to work for him. You know, you believe people are going to believe what they want, but if that works for him, and he may be the player that people expected.
Well, you know what? It all comes down to belief anyway. First of all, believing in yourself. And then, of course, if you have a higher being that you also believe in, it all comes together and you just get what you get. If that's going to work out on the field professionally or even just personally, it's good. You know, it can only be good. But the way, you know, I was expecting a lot less from him yesterday. He did run the ball effectively. We know he could do that. He has to prove that he could pass. He was efficient. and he had 217 yards, so he was able to pass effectively within the scheme they had for him because they were running the ball. Brees Hall was running the ball effectively, so they were doing what they needed to do. You can't put this on him. I mean, not you, but they can't put it on him. The defense gave up 32 points.
Right.
And, letting Aaron Rodgers throw for 4 touchdowns. You would think out of the entire team, the defensive unit would have been the ones who want to prove themselves against Aaron Rodgers. We're going to show him that we're better off without him, and he's just picking you apart and just lighting you up. And next, so the same old story for the Jets. It doesn't matter who the coach is. Aaron Glenn, Jets legend, doesn't matter. It happened when Rex Ryan was there until he got the defense together, but then the offense was a little deficient. It's always one or the other. But, yeah, that just was the conclusion I came to watching the game or hearing about the game yesterday, knowing it's not Aaron Rodgers. It was the freaking Jets. And there's no other way around it, man. It's the Jets curse, whatever it got to be, whatever I don't know, curse word they want to use. But that's what they've been dealing with all of these years since 1969. Nothing different.
I told my son yesterday, because we both had that eerie feeling once he fumbled, oh, shit, the Bills are coming back. I said,
the momentum.
I'm like, are the Ravens snake bit or what, man? Because there's no way. They were winning 40-25.
Yeah.
And the Bills couldn't stop them. You figured there at least one more score and they win. They couldn't get that one more score. Shit, I'm not even sure they got a first down.
Damn. You know what? I go to 22-6. When you're down and you have where you are, you would expect the team to be able to hang on to some of that lead because you don't even got to hang on to all of it. Just some of that lead because you're ahead. But they just let them surpass them. I think it was a momentum thing. Once the ball is fumbled and all of these other elements come into it, the home field advantage, the Bills Mafia, all that stuff. And Josh Allen being who he is, he didn't even light it up like he would typically light it up. But he was efficient, effective, still ran when he needed to. And they won because of it, because of that and everything else. It couldn't be just one person. But
right.
the team just pulled it off. Another game I wanted to talk about was Cincinnati-Cleveland. It goes back to you was talking about, man, I don't watch preseason games. I'm like, man, watch preseason games sometime. Sometimes those guys get in for a period of time, get themselves some burn, and you can get an idea, even the veteran guys. Man, Joe Burrow, as we talked about, he got more playing time than a lot of starters this past preseason. He goes in there. He has a nothing game. They still win because it's Cleveland, but he had pretty much a nothing game. I thought by the way he was playing as effective as he was in the preseason, that at least he'll be sharp, that at least he'll be comfortable. And he goes into this game like, damn, having us thinking like we did last season. Damn, what the hell's wrong with Joe Burrow? I know he's going to get it together, but right now in this first game, it's not like that.
Well, I tried watching that game, and it was tough. I was like, man, I got to find something else. It was not fun to watch. But as far as the Bengals go, the last few years, they've gotten off to slow starts. And, 1-4 records or 0-3, and you think, well, they're done. Well, at least they got the W. And I think about what Larry Merchant used to say when the best fighter in the ring for that main event wasn't looking too good, but was winning. He'd say something like, win tonight, look good in the next fight.
Yeah, you know what?
Win on Sunday, look good next Sunday. Especially when you look at the Bengals' history. Like I said, they've been getting off to slow starts last few seasons.
Yeah, and there's no such thing as a good-looking loss. It just isn't. You lose a damn game, it uglies everything up. But I was surprised that Joe Burrow, I was especially looking forward to him put up a 3-spot or even a 4-spot just based on looking so sharp in the preseason. But there were so many games. Let's talk about how the season started off when you had the Dallas Cowboys playing against the defending champions Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Carter starts off the game with the nasty spit, all that nastiness, gets kicked out of the game. Dallas loses. They keep talking about how Michael Parsons was the reason why they lost. And I don't think it was the case. But, man, it was still a solid game between the two teams, Philadelphia.
Yeah, it was a decent game. But you didn't see the video of Dak. He didn't spit on Jalen, but he spit in his direction first.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Who knows? It might have been AI, but somebody said, here, watch the full segment. And Dak and Jalen were talking smack to each other, and Dak kind of spit in his direction, but not at him. And then Jalen got up and he spit at him.
See, I didn't see that part. And of course, the media is going to take whatever side anyway, and they're going to keep on showing that one because they just did that. They kept showing that part when Carter kept spitting on him. They didn't say anything. Dak just looked like an innocent bystander, just got spat on. And it was like, I was like, get him out of there. Get it. Yo, that's the nastiest, the lowest thing you can do to anybody. With the helmet, with equipment, it doesn't freaking matter. If you're butt naked or with equipment, someone spits on you, man. That's as low as it freaking gets. That's the type of crap. You're just waiting like the Miami Heat done, waiting out the freaking locker room for Jokic. You know, they're just waiting outside for him. That's what you do in football. But yeah, that was a good game to watch. But even between both quarterbacks, both passing for less than 200 yards. I mean, do you expect that now from Dak? As long as they win the game, but they didn't win this game. But 188 yards passing, man, for someone who always has the pressure on him. And now Joe Milton, who's been getting a lot of press during the preseason, and he even got some press when he was in New England. Now he's down in Dallas, and they're looking like they're pushing for him to be the guy eventually. Dak Prescott didn't help himself out a lot in terms of just showing how consistent a passer he could be. 188 yards, nothing. And then you lose.
Excuse me. I don't really expect much from Dak anyway. So
that
was kind of par for the course. And plus, the Eagles are defending champions. That's a really good defense. So it's hard to look good against that squad.
But then Jalen Hurts, 152 yards in his own time. He just wins. You know what? This is going to come to a point to where he's just getting wins, and it doesn't matter how he's getting the win, as long as there's a win in the column when the game is over. He does all of this stuff. Some of it looks impressive when he's running, but the passing doesn't necessarily look impressive. But then at the end of the game, they're winning the games. And I think that it counts for everything. It doesn't count for something. It counts for everything. And then Saquon Barkley not having a great night, only 60 yards on the night, just over 3 yards to carry. This is what it's going to try to look like. And this was without Michael Parsons on defense. It's going to try to look this way against Saquon Barkley moving forward this season because of what he did last season. I don't know if it works or not. I'm wondering if his body's going to hold up. He did have a history of getting injured. So I wonder, does that happen? I don't want it to happen. I'm not talking it up, but that's something that has happened in the past. And it seems like they now have this number on him or target on him, and the way Dallas was able to put it on him in Philly. So there's going to be these road games against better teams like the Commanders when they go on the road against them. How is that going to work out?
I'm not sure, but I'll give you my biggest takeaway from the NFL weekend.
Yeah.
I think this is the year for people to beat up on the Chiefs. Last year they're winning games by the skin of their teeth. I thought, they're just not motivated. They're going to win their division, get to the playoffs, flip the switch, and then, they'll be the Chiefs. But I don't think, they haven't been able to make too many improvements to their squad. When you win like that, people want to get paid, and you can't pay everybody.
Nope,
so they've lost people. If this is gonna be the year, I think the Chiefs take some lumps.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And even before when we did our show last Thursday, and I was wondering, was this going to be the beginning of the end? Was last season the beginning of the end of the Chiefs being the elite of the elite? They can go down a notch or two and still be competitive and kind of be like Baltimore is, just lingering, almost scratching the surface, trying to get over the fence. But they've already been over the fence. Now they got tossed back over the fence. Now can they hang on to the fence, or they're going to drag themselves down? I'm wondering if this is that time now where that's going to happen, to where you just can't be the best of the best anymore. You're not going to make a threat to go to a Super Bowl. Of course, you're not going to even threat to be a repeat champ. None of that. You've had those opportunities, and this is how it goes in the NFL. No one's had a three-peat since the Super Bowl era, and it seems like that's what's going to continue to happen. We've seen some great teams who couldn't three-peat. Those 49er teams couldn't three-peat. Those Dallas teams couldn't three-peat.
Steelers.
All the teams.
Kelsey running into Xavier Worthy didn't help their cause neither. If you don't have weapons, I don't care how good of a quarterback you are, you can only do so much.
Yeah, and that's true. But Travis Kelce did have a pretty solid game. He had a pretty solid. He got that touchdown on the right side, and Got into the end zone. Still got some pretty good speed.
Man, he's gonna be distracted. That dude's got wedding plans to work on.
Like the girls worry about wedding plans. The dude don't worry about anything but the dead tuxedo and his freaking groomsmen. That's what the dudes worry about. The chicks, they worry about all that other stuff, man. The father.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, because how could he not see Xavier Worthy coming at him? He just took him out, man. He just took him out.
But man, I mean, you know what? I had to point this game out in particular because this team came all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast, but kind of somewhat of a prophecy of yours, at least in the early going. Ashton Genty just 2 yards to carry, got himself a touchdown, and I was like, "Yo, bro, what's going on? They're gonna McFadden this dude." Just like I was saying last Friday, I hope they don't McFadden this dude. But Josh Jacobs did let the league in freaking rushing, playing for those same Raiders. So what's going on here, man? I mean, it is.
He did get a score.
He got a score.
Got his first NFL touchdown, but 19 carries for 38 yards. That's not very good.
Oh, that's nasty. That's bro. He's probably in the ice tub right now. Still, I mean, when you get that many carries and that fewer yards, you've been getting popped. And I'm like, he's just under 6 feet himself. So all he did was fall forward.
He looked little too, man. When I was watching that game, I was like, man, he looks small as hell back there.
Yeah, and you know, I was watching a video that came through one of the feeds the other day, and they were talking with John Gruden, and John Gruden was pointing out how he stands up straight in the I formation. I never even noticed that, but of course, a coach would notice that. He stands up straight up. He doesn't do the crouching down. And then he says, "Hey, what are you going to do when the coach tells you to do that?" He says, "Well, I did over 2,600 yards in college, man, doing this." Bro, this is the NFL, man. They tell you to freaking crouch, you crouch. The hell are you talking about? You see the field better this way, whatever.
Crouch, not crotch.
You crouch. Yeah, you crouch down.
That sounds like you said crotch.
No, you're like Eric Crouch. No, you crouch down. You crouch down. He doesn't crouch at all. I mean, I've always thought it gave you a little bit more, you know, it gives you a little bit more leverage when you crouch down. Hell, I was a freaking running back. I mean, not on that level, but hell, it's all basic across the board how to freaking crouch down on the 2-point stance. It's just that he had his own way of doing it. Looked like he was doing a pistol or something. But anyways,
watching games yesterday, I was of course watched the Sunday night game, and it looked like the Bills were going to get taken out back, and I'm like, wow, well, my MVP choice, my pick, he's not off to a good start. He came back, so you know he kind of saved face, and then the 49ers were struggling all game against the Seahawks. Yes. I'm like, damn, I can't believe I picked the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. But at least they came back and won, pulled it out at the end. So maybe they can use that as a springboard going forward.
And I'm still thinking because of the preseason games, now they're 3, and some of the players aren't even playing at all. So I don't think
McCaffrey, he had 22 carries.
That's what I'm saying. He had a lot of carries.
I think he caught 9 balls too.
Man, and we already know about his injury history. You don't want to keep giving him the ball and have to rely on just him. You know it's going to eventually happen. In fact, going into this game, they were talking about him being probable. I mean, for him to even be probably, he shouldn't be on the list at all. But we know his injury.
I think 14, 15 carries a game got to be his max. He's not a workhorse.
Carries, yeah, but touches, you can add a little bit more because he does a lot of the backfield.
He had 22 carries and 9 catches. That's 31 touches.
That's 31 touches in total.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot for a dude that gets injured a lot, and he's never been that heavy. I think he's like 212 pounds, somewhere around there, and that's gaining weight from when he was at Stanford. But San Francisco right now, Brock Purdy living up to the contract, of course. But I'm still thinking the second week, third week is probably when you're going to see the real identity of these teams. Just because they don't play the preseason as much as they did, at least in the past, you gave them a quarter or even a half of the first unit playing in a preseason game. You're not getting that anymore. Aaron Rodgers didn't even have to worry about a preseason game to come out and shoot it down like he did with the Jets. Didn't have to worry about it. So, and then, looking at the Washington Commanders playing against the Giants, Jayden Daniels picking it up where he left it freak off. But then it's the Giants, though. The Giants, this Cam Skatibo, that's the one I'm really looking forward to seeing. And my man can hardly get past the line of scrimmage. For a while, he had like negative yardage. No, oh, damn, I'm talking John Riggins with his ass. Damn, raggedy-ass John. That's what he looks like when he was running. But, and the Giants lose, so nothing.
I didn't watch any of that game. I just kind of had the feeling that the Redskins took it easy on him a little bit. What was it, 21-9, 21-10?
Something like that. Let me see. It was a 21-6.
Or 21-6, okay.
Yeah, and Scativo, the one that they were talking about, who has that low center of gravity and runs really hard, he averaged minus 1 yard a carry. Bro, what's going on with that line? And then Russell Wilson didn't help anybody out either, throwing for crap just as well. I don't know what's going to happen with this Giants team. I think we're going to be seeing Jackson Dart pretty damn soon. They're not going to care about what they gave Russell Wilson to come to the Giants, but Washington kind of picking up where they left off. I think the NFC East is not that good a division. I think the Cowboys might be better defensively than I expected, but still as a whole, you still have Dak Prescott, and pretty much that's where it goes. CeeDee Lamb, what is he going to do if he can't get the ball? I mean, seriously, give him a bunch of end arounds and get hurt?
Yeah. I tell you who else should be concerned. Lions fans. They didn't look good at all against the Packers yesterday.
Too many coaches lost, players lost. Bro, you lost your offensive and defensive coordinator, bro. You just can't look the same. And I don't know why I drew a blank last week when you asked me about my team, and I was thinking I should have taken Green Bay looking back on it, but I was like, no, I'll take Washington. For some reason, couldn't remember Green Bay, but I got Washington. I'm going to stick with Washington. But Green Bay and Love looked like crap against the Jets in the early preseason, 1-5. The Jets shut him down. Of course, it's preseason. Now he just throwing darts like nothing, and he's looking good doing it. Baker Mayfield doing the same thing against Atlanta with Tampa, just looking good. Doesn't have to do anything special. Just get the touchdowns. He had 3 of them.
Michael Penix.
That's another one I wanted to check out. Another dude I'm rooting for this season. He got the
game-winning drive at the end.
And yet he got an angry ass. He still got an angry Kirk Cousins there, still wondering why he was drafted. Why'd you give me all this money? You're not gonna play me, bro. Just take your money. Quiet. Hope you win. But yeah, Michael Penix.
Yeah, I was glad to see Penix lead that drive to win the game. He seems like a really good guy, and I'm happy to see him get an opportunity. I think he could have been drafted higher than he was. For whatever reason, his age or his mechanics. I think he can be a decent quarterback. I mean, there's a lot of scrub quarterbacks.
Bad quarterbacks. Bro,
a lot of scrub QB1s in this league. I don't think Penix will be one of them.
Yeah, but they lost the game. Tampa won 23-20.
Did they?
Yeah.
I thought the Bleacher Report was wrong then.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Bucs, Baker Mayfield, those 3 touchdowns, man, they won the game. But I like Penix's numbers at the end. He looked pretty poised from the videos that we had a chance to see. So I'm like, yeah, the left-handed quarterback is always nice to look at. It reminds me a little bit of Mark Brunell. I mean, he's not the runner Mark was, but still, being so close and being down here in the South, we're going to get more than enough chances to watch Michael Penix. Hell, I might even go up to Atlanta to check him out. Why not? I mean, hell, the tickets aren't expensive. No one goes, so why not? I can go up there and check it out. But hey, how about those Jacksonville Jaguars, man? That was my lock. And I said, you know what? I can't just call it a lock. I got to put my money where my mouth is. So all the money that I didn't lose on Saturday, I put on yesterday. Just the Jaguars. And I freaking won. 3.5 point freaking a favorite. Man, come on. Bryce Young, this is a season I was hoping he had a breakout season. Man, he better hope he doesn't get his body broken and not the starter by the time 3rd or 4th game comes along. That's a bad freaking team. And Trevor Lawrence, man, I want him to be one of those 250-yard passing guys, and he wasn't that yesterday. Travis Hunter catching those small passes, but he's showing fearlessness. He's using his hands, and he looks like he knows what to do after that catch. He was averaging, I think, 9 yards of reception somewhere around there, but they threw it to him. He got 4 catches out of it. He took 6 plays on defense. They're showing him isolated him on the camera, showing him doing some, cornerback, whatever, coming in as the nickel backer. Kind of knew what he was doing, but hey, nothing bad happened. So yeah, man, it was a good game. The Jaguars.
So how many plays on defense?
6. And he's going to be offense anyway. I mean, that was known anyways, and people were just hoping. So they just ignored Coach. Coach was like, yeah, we're going to look like we're going to have him on offense. We'll let him play some defense. You should know when Coach says we're going to let him play some defense. 6 plays is some defense, and that's nickel coverage. But on offense, it looked like he's pretty comfortable. I was hoping Brian Thomas looked a little better yesterday, but I think it was still somewhat of a Trevor Lawrence issue, not getting into his top wide receiver, one of the best in the league right now. But Travis Etienne, boy, he went off yesterday. That dude went off, and I was happy for him, man. had over 100 yards. He broke, I think, a 61-yarder or a 71-yarder, the longest of his career. I mean, if you get shit that high, typically it is the longest of your career. And so the Jaguars had a good overall game, even though that freaking hour-long rain delay had us chilling, and their game was ending when some of these games were like in the second quarter for the second half of the NFL games.
Well, it makes sense. We kind of trashed Travis Etienne last week. It makes sense that he'd go off and have a really good game this week. But we'll see, can he sustain it for it?
It was for no reason. It was for a reason. He wasn't looking good last season. He averaged less than 4 yards a carry.
I'm not saying we were wrong. I'm just saying. I'm not saying we were wrong for saying he got to do better. I'm just saying it makes sense that we trashed him and then he plays better.
And you know what? But that Bashir Tootin
make us look bad all the time. I don't care.
You know, if he can do that, go ahead and do it. It's going to benefit the Jaguars.
We'll say when a guy plays well, but if he doesn't, we're going to say that too.
And he did play well last year, averaging less than 4 yards a carry. That Bashir Tootin, running back from Virginia Tech, I remember he was being a pain in the butt to Miami last year, and I just couldn't stand him. He's the fastest running back in the last draft, 4.3, 240. This dude has special qualities to him. They were talking about it also during the broadcast, but I was like, you know what? I saw what I saw, so I don't think I need confirmation from you guys. And you can see when he gets that 1 foot planted and he makes that one step through the hole, that dude got some promise going on. So I'm expecting to see this if he doesn't get hurt. I expect to see it a little bit more often, and I expect him to be a huge part of this team, kind of like Maurice Jones-Drew was when Fred Taylor was here. They weaned him in slowly but surely, put him on special teams, but then they just couldn't leave him out of the backfield, and then he and Fred became one of the best tandems in the NFL.
Yeah, so before we get out of here for this Monday night game, I have to say, you mentioned it earlier, the Vikings are starting J.J. McCarthy. Mm-hmm. It'll be his debut in the NFL in the real game. And if the Bears lose to this dude, man, I'm telling you, sports radio is going to be going crazy. Oh. Callers going to be going crazy. They just because, like, my expectations, I don't have expectations. You got to show me something. Show me before I start believing. So I'm just going in with an objective eye. But you should not lose to a rookie quarterback if you fancy yourself as a 9-10 win, 10-11 win team, which the Bears do.
With Ben Johnson
right.
as your head coach now. You know, the line stayed the same. I think it's still 1.5 for the Bears. I think it stayed the same. I don't think that Minnesota was favored at all. It's in Chicago, so you think that home field advantage wouldn't matter for something. I'm expecting to win by more than that. You know, J.J. McCarthy was one of those quarterbacks I didn't think should have gone as high anyway. I saw him as a third rounder, but who gives a damn what I think? All you need is for one NFL team to believe you're a first rounder, and Minnesota thought that he was a first rounder, so they drafted him. I watched him play at Michigan. I don't watch him play during the preseason. Couldn't watch him last season because he was injured the entire season. I just don't think the way he plays, man, unless they see something completely different, unless he's doing something completely different, I don't see him doing well.
They got some weapons down there, so yeah, who knows?
But if he's throwing the ball,
the worst thing that can happen tonight is the Vikings get up 17-3, and then Caleb Williams leads a comeback that falls just short, because that's what happened 80% of the time last year. And everybody be like, oh, well, they got it going in the second half. They look good in the second half. They should be better next week. No, they should be better tonight. You can't get down 17-3 to a rookie quarterback. I don't give a fuck how many weapons he has. Your quarterback
the only is in reason the why year. They should be down.
No, there is no reason. Your quarterback is in the second year. You got a new coach, new offensive coordinator, weapons. You should not be down 17-3 to no fucking rookie quarterback ever.
I was just talking maybe defense, fumbles taken back to the house. We've seen some careless plays in yesterday's games, some careless plays where they just turned the other way. So that would be the only reason why I'm taking Chicago. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is again with Chicago tonight. Come on, man. And that's the primary reason why. J.J. McCarthy, for the way I felt about him coming into the NFL, being a first-round pick instead of the third-round pick I thought he should have been. I thought he was a dog and a real player in Michigan and got himself a national championship thinking that same way. But at no time did he show me he was that type of passer or even that dual threat that you would take that early for a team that deems him a franchise quarterback now just by virtue of taking him so early. So I'm going to take Chicago. So we're going to have to get up out of here before this game
I'm telling you right now,
on.
if the Bears' offense looks like crap, win or lose, like let's say they win 16-13 or 13-10, I'm going out and getting a Tyson Bagent jersey, and I'm starting the Sit Williams Down campaign.
Sit him down. Hell, you might not be alone doing that. I'm thinking Williams, though, I think he has the ability. It's just a matter of can he put his head together. You just talked about how they're not catering to him anymore because you have a new coach here that's not his guy. So he has house money to play with. That's Ben Johnson has a house money to play with, so he can tell him what the hell he wants to, and he can demand what he wants to. And I don't think he can pout it. If he does, he'll get called out for it. So maybe he matures this year, and he matures as a player as well, and he can put up those numbers. It doesn't have to be anything drastic. Just be consistent. And I think a 250-yard game, probably 2 touchdowns, throwing a third, and he might run for one. He can run. So let's see how that works. And I think that should happen against Minnesota going against J.J. McCarthy. They should have many opportunities offensively because I expect a few three and outs for Minnesota based on that young quarterback. Now, it could be wrong, but I doubt it. But anyways, we can end it right there if you want. Or you want to talk about the Houston Texans, C.J. Stroud, year number 3.
Nah, I'm good. They lost, right?
Yeah, they did lose.
Yeah.
So anyways, yeah, and you know what? And we talked about how Justin Herbert played. You know, Justin Herbert was a real quarterback.
I just want to make one comment. I know it's all NFL, but you got to talk about Bama fans. Don't tell me you won 70-0, 73-0, whatever it was against the Sisters of the Blind and Deaf. I don't give a fuck. Your team got spanked by Florida State.
Texas
A&M. Shut the fuck up.
Florida State. Yeah, they're Bama fans, man. They're throwing the 70 spot on the helpless team. No one cares. No one cares at all, but they did care about South Florida beating Florida in the swamp. And that was one of those games I was thinking about the money line because
Where's Scott?
Oh, Scott, bro, he sent me enough already. Man, I was saying, man, you just quiet down. Now, you know what? Another surprise probably this Saturday. South Florida going down to Miami. At least Miami won't be surprised like Florida was or even Boise State. They're expecting smoke. This is an interstate rivalry. So let's see what happens between those two when they come down to Miami on Saturday. 7:30 game, I believe. Either way, I'm watching. It is on. So that'll be it for now because the game is about to come on. He's biased. I'm Trav in the Sports Bag Bros podcast. We'll come back at you on Thursday because it's fight week. Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez. We'll be doing a live show and then the fight party on Saturday.
Team Crawford.
Deuces.
Adios.